Hello and a very warm welcome to Stamps Old World UK. In today's video, we're going to dive into one of the most iconic American definitive stamps of the mid-20th century, the 8-cent Statue of Liberty issue. And we'll explore its history, its design, how many were printed, what condition and variety factors affect value, and what you can expect in terms of market value in today's dollars. So if you're a stamp collector, a history buff, or simply curious about vintage postage stamps, you're in the right place. Let's begin with the background and historical context. In 1954, the 8-cent Statue of Liberty stamp, Scott Catalog number 1041, was introduced by the United States Postal Service, then Post Office Department, as part of the Liberty series. This issue constituted a definitive, regular-use stamp rather than a commemorative, intended for everyday postal usage, and it featured the remarkable bicolor design, a dark violet blue and carmine rendition of the statue raising its torch. The design is significant in that it was the first U.S. definitive under $1 to be bicolored. Historically, the choice of the Statue of Liberty image is no surprise. The statue is an enduring symbol of American freedom, immigration, and hope, and placing it on a definitive stamp in the 1950s reflects that national identity. Now, let's talk about printings, issues, and condition. The 8-cent Liberty stamp was issued April 9, 1954. It was produced by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing using flat plate printing and perforated 11. Because it was a regular definitive issue, large quantities were printed to meet everyday demand. What that means for modern collectors is that while it is a notable stamp, it is not extremely scarce, so rarity is relatively modest unless you find special varieties, exceptional condition, plate blocks, or first-day covers. Turning now to condition and collecting factors, when you're assessing this stamp, you'll want to consider whether the stamp is mint, unused with original gum, or used, canceled, its centering, how well the image is placed in relation to the perforations, gum condition, hinges, re-gumming, any faults, creasing, thins, stains, and whether it's from an early printing or a later variant, flat plate versus rotary if applicable. Mint condition with full original gum and very fine centering commands higher price than a used or heavily hinged example. Also, plate blocks or sheets may carry a premium. Now, what about current market value? Based on listings from respected dealers and online marketplaces, here is what we are seeing today in US dollars. For a standard mint single of Scott 1041 in average condition, one retailer lists a price of USD $100.65. A listing for unused examples of this stamp shows a price around $20 when offered in certain small lots, though that may reflect condition, quantity, or premium. For used examples, we see eBay listings like one showing a used single for about $200. So, to summarize, for a common issue such as this one, unless you have an exceptional grade, superb centering, deluxe gum, pristine, fresh, original condition, or a scarce variant, you might be looking at a market value in the range of $200 to $400 US dollars in today's market. However, I must emphasize that range is only approximate, and the actual value can vary significantly depending on condition, provenance, country of sale, currency fluctuations, shipping, and whether the stamp is offered as part of a larger lot. Also, marketplaces often carry condition disclaimers and shipping and import costs, especially when buying internationally. For viewers in the UK or Pakistan, for example, will affect your total cost. Beyond standard singles, the stamp may carry higher value for plate blocks, first-day covers, multiples, sheet folds, varieties, and high-grade collector material. If you ever discover such a piece in top-notch condition, you may well command a premium price, though for this issue, it is still not what one might call high rarity. For our channel here at Stamps Old World UK, I'd recommend that if you're considering acquiring this stamp, you do your homework. Look carefully at gum condition, centering, any faults, and whether the listing is genuine. Check for expert photos, seller ratings, catalog references. If you're selling such a stamp, set realistic expectations. A near-perfect mint example may fetch the higher end of the range, but the average is modest. Another point worth mentioning, Even though the face value at time of issue was 8 cents, the collector value today is many times that in some cases. But again, only in the right condition. The fact that large numbers were printed means moderate value. If you compare to ultra-rare stamps, which may sell for thousands or even millions of dollars, this 8-cent Liberty stamp is more in the accessible range for many collectors, making it a good entry-level vintage U.S. definitive. In terms of avoiding pitfalls, always be cautious of listings where the stamp is described as unused but has gum damage or regumming. Check for faults like toning, hinge remains, or poor centering, which lower value. Also watch for postal used examples with heavy cancellation marks. Those typically have lower value. If you're purchasing internationally, factor in shipping and import duties when converting to your local currency. Finally, let's wrap up by summarizing why the stamp matters. The 8-cent Statue of Liberty issue is an attractive, historically significant piece of American philately. Its bicolor design, symbolic subject, and place in the definitive series make it a nice addition for collectors of U.S. stamps, iconic landmarks, or thematic collections centered on liberty, immigration, or patriotic symbols. For a moderate investment, you can pick up a nice example and enjoy a piece of philatelic history. For serious collectors seeking higher value, seek exceptional condition or special format, plate block or cover. And as always, if you manage to find one in superb quality, you'll be in a strong position to ask for the higher end of the market range.
Next up, the 11-cent Statue of Liberty stamp, and we'll examine its history, design details, issue circumstances, condition factors, and what collectors should know about its current market value in U.S. dollars. Whether you're new to stamp collecting or have an established collection, this one has interesting features to consider. Let's begin with the background and historical context. The 11-cent Statue of Liberty stamp, cataloged as Scott 1044A in the United States Stamp Catalog, was issued on June 15, 1961 in Washington, D.C. by the United States Postal Service, then the Post Office Department, as part of the broader Liberty series of definitive stamps. The stamp underwent production by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing and was printed using the Giori press with perforation of 11. The design depicts the iconic Statue of Liberty held aloft by the sculptor Frederick August Bartoli and engineered internally by Gustave Eiffel. The statue stands for liberty, hope, and the welcoming of immigrants arriving in America. The 11-cent rate reflected a new international surface mail rate effective July 1, 1961, so the stamp fulfilled a practical postal purpose as well as patriotic symbolism. Now let's talk about design and varieties. The stamp features a bicolor print, a carmine red frame surrounding a dark violet blue or similar shade central depiction of the statue, and the words U.S. Postage, 11 cents, In God We Trust, and Liberty. The design motif continued from earlier Liberty series stamps, such as the 8-cent version, but with the updated denomination and printing technology. According to the Postal Museum, the Bureau decided to use the existing design of the 3-cent and 8-cent Liberty stamps to create this 11-cent version. For collectors, key attributes to examine include centering of the design, gum condition for mint examples, whether the stamp is meant never hinged or used with cancellation, perforation consistency, and any plate or printing varieties, such as color shifts, taggings, or printing errors. While this particular stamp is not extremely rare, it was a mass-used definitive, but the condition and any special format, plate block, first-day cover, or full sheet, will affect value. Speaking of printings and condition, because the 11-cent Liberty stamp was designed for regular postal usage, relatively large quantities were printed. This means that while it is collectible, it is generally accessible rather than ultra-rare. That said, for a mint example in very fine condition with full original gum and excellent centering, you can expect a higher premium than average used examples. On the other hand, used examples with heavy cancellations or faults will sell for much less. Some online listings show used singles for under $100 US, while better mint examples might fetch a few dollars. For instance, a recent listing on eBay shows an 11-cent stamp for about $299 US in used condition. Another listing shows a mint never hinged example for approximately $209.5 US. These listings underscore that the market value for the base example of this stamp is modest, but condition and provenance matter significantly. Now let's summarize what market value you might expect today in US dollars. For a standard used single of the 11-cent Liberty stamp in average condition, you might expect a market value of around $100 to $300 US given current listing prices internationally. For a mint example with full original gum, never hinged, good centering, no faults, you might reasonably expect $300 to $1,000 US depending on condition, dealer, and market demand. If you find a special variant, such as a plate block, full sheet, or first-day cover, then the price could be somewhat higher. But given its status as a common definitive, even those rarely reach the hundreds of dollars mark unless truly exceptional. For example, the listing showing 8 stamps lot sold for $1,500 US for a mint set of 8. So, as a realistic benchmark, most singles will be under $10 US unless you have an outstanding specimen. It's important to emphasize, those values are approximate and subject to change. Market demand, condition, currency conversion, especially for collectors outside the US, shipping and import fees, and rarity all play roles. If you're in the UK, Europe, or Pakistan, you also need to factor in shipping, potential customs or import duties, and differences in local supply and demand. Now let's cover some tips for collectors and sellers. If you're looking to buy this stamp, look carefully at the description. Check if the dumb is original and if the stamp is hinged or never hinged. Examine centering. Stamps that are very well centered command higher prices. Check for any faults. Creases, toning, thinning, hinge marks, or gum disturbance will reduce value. If you are looking at used examples, check the cancellation. A light, unobtrusive cancel is generally preferred over heavy machine cancels which may mar the design. If you're selling, be realistic about condition and rarity. While this is a handsome stamp, because many were issued, it falls into the accessible collector category rather than high rarity. Set your expectations accordingly and highlight condition virtues: very fine centering, original gum, never hinged, false sheet or plate block if you have them. Also, for your channel Stamps Old World UK, it may be worth mentioning to your viewers the appeal of such stamps isn't just monetary. The 11-cent Statue of Liberty issue resonates because of the symbolism of the statue itself: liberty, immigration, the bond between France and America. So even if the price is modest, it holds thematic and historical interest, ideal for thematic collections, topical collecting, that focus on monuments, freedom, immigration, or U.S. history. In summary, the 11-cent Statue of Liberty stamp is a collectible and historically meaningful piece that offers good value and accessibility. For average used singles, expect low single-digit US dollar prices. For fine mint examples, you might see higher, but still under typical six-figure values seen in ultra-rare stamps. It's a solid addition to a collection, especially if you value theme and history. If you by chance come across a superb specimen, full sheet, plate block, flawless centering, pristine gum, then you may be sitting on something more special than the average.
Next up, the 15-cent Statue of Liberty stamp, one of the most beautifully engraved and historically rich stamps in United States philatelic history. We'll go through its origin, design details, production background, its role in U.S. postal history, and of course, we'll discuss its current market value in U.S. dollars as of today. So sit back and enjoy as we take a fascinating journey into the past of this magnificent Liberty issue. The 15-cent Statue of Liberty stamp is one of the standout issues of early 20th century U.S. postage. This particular stamp belongs to the 1922 to 1931 regular issue series, also known as the Fourth Bureau issue. It was first issued in 1922 and printed by the Bureau of Engraving and Printing in Washington, D.C. The stamp features a stunning engraving of the Statue of Liberty standing proudly on its pedestal, facing outward toward the harbor and beyond, a fitting symbol of freedom, democracy, and hope. The design captures the monument in great detail, with its torch held high and the skyline behind it rendered with delicate engraving lines that only the Bureau's master engravers could achieve. The stamp's denomination, 15 cents, is prominently displayed in the lower corners, framed by an ornate border typical of early 20th century American design. The 15-cent value was not chosen at random. In the early 1920s, that denomination was intended to cover a variety of postal rates, including certain international destinations, special delivery fees, and heavier domestic letters. Stamps of this denomination were often used on registered mail or international letters, meaning many surviving examples are found with cancellations. However, mint examples, especially those in pristine, never-hinged condition, are far less common and therefore more desirable to collectors today. Let's take a moment to appreciate the artistry of the stamp. Printed in a deep blue-violet or indigo shade, the engraving gives it an elegant and authoritative appearance. The Statue of Liberty had already become an icon of American identity by the time this stamp was released, representing not only national pride but also America's welcoming spirit toward immigrants. It's worth noting that the design of this 15-cent issue differs significantly from later Liberty Series stamps of the 1950s and 1960s, which featured a closer portrait view of the statue. This earlier version shows the full monument in its harbor setting, giving it a more panoramic and historical feel. Now let's discuss its printing and varieties. The 15-cent Liberty stamp was produced using line engraving on flat plates, later transitioning to rotary press printings as technology improved. Both perforation varieties and paper types can influence collector value. Most commonly, it was perforated 11, but there are rare variations with different perforations or watermark differences which specialists in U.S. philately look for. The deeper the color and the cleaner the impression, the more valuable the stamp tends to be. Many collectors also seek plate blocks or well-centered examples because these command a higher price than those with off-center designs or damaged perforations. As for condition, this is a critical factor in determining market value. Mint, never-hinged stamps with full original gum and perfect centering are the top tier and can fetch a strong premium. Lightly hinged examples are next, followed by unused with disturbed gum, and then used stamps with cancellations. Faults such as tears, thins, creases, or heavy postmarks can greatly reduce value. Collectors prize those that retain their original color and sharp engraving detail, since fading or discoloration can occur over time. Now let's move to what everyone wants to know: the current market value. Based on collector market trends and long-established pricing patterns, a typical used example of the 15-cent Statue of Liberty stamp usually sells for around $1,000 to $3,000 US, depending on centering and cancellation quality. A fine mint-hinged example generally ranges from $5,000 to $15,000 US, while a truly superb mint never-hinged example with excellent centering can reach anywhere from $20,000 to $40,000 US, and in exceptional gem-grade condition, even $50,000 to $100,000 US in today's collector market. Plate blocks of 4 in mint never-hinged condition can also command a premium, often trading in the range of $250,000 to $600,000 US, depending on margins and plate number clarity. Though not an ultra-rare stamp by any means, well-preserved specimens of this issue continue to appreciate in demand due to their classical design and historic importance. For collectors today, owning the 15-cent Statue of Liberty stamp is like holding a small piece of America's heritage in your hands. Whether you're a beginner or an advanced philatelist, this issue represents both affordability and classic design appeal. It's a perfect addition to any U.S. definitive collection, and it serves as a reminder of the enduring symbol of liberty that continues to inspire millions around the world. If you ever come across this stamp, take time to inspect it carefully. Check the perforations, color depth, gum condition, and centering. If its mint never hinged with sharp engraving and vibrant ink, it's a treasure worth preserving. Even if it's used, a clean, well-centered example with a light cancellation remains an attractive collectible for those who appreciate early 20th century American philately. And that wraps up our deep dive into the 15-cent Statue of Liberty stamp, a masterpiece of design, symbolism, and historical importance. Its beauty may not command astronomical prices, but its cultural and artistic value is immeasurable. So next time you browse through an old album or attend a stamp fair, keep an eye out for this elegant blue-violet symbol of freedom. Thank you so much for watching Stamps Old World UK. If you enjoyed this exploration into vintage US postage, please remember to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so you never miss our future episodes. Leave a comment below if you have one of these stamps in your collection or if you've come across a rare variation. We'd love to hear your story. Until next time, keep collecting, keep learning, and keep appreciating the timeless beauty of the world's classic stamps. This is Stamps Old World UK wishing you happy collecting and a world of philatelic discovery.